Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, tracking the impacts from our winter storm that will arrive tonight, impact us all day tomorrow, and then finally move out by Monday morning. Now, I want to give you a look at the weather impacts this weekend when it comes to the winter precip. And you can see that most of the area for Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina, underneath the no impacts to minor from the south side down through Ahoskie and up into the southern eastern shore. You get into the rest of the peninsulas just north of Hampton and Newport News, so in Williamsburg, in these areas in orange, we're talking moderate impacts, and then inland around Emporia. So between the I-85 and I-95 corridors, I'm watching for major impacts, and that's because of the ice potential. So here's one look at the ice potential from our European model, and it shows this area in central Virginia to western Virginia, all the way through western North Carolina into central North Carolina, picking up ½ an inch of ice to 1.5 inches of ice in some places at the very, very most. But over 1 inch of ice can be super crippling, and we're expecting for some power outages in those areas. Here, power outages could be possible, especially inland, but as things start to mix over into rain, our conditions will still be messy, but we're not talking extenuating impacts. Right now, cold weather advisory is still in effect for us. Wind chills right now in the teens and single digits. This morning we had feels like temperatures below zero. Here's a look at the impacts right now from the feels like temperatures, and you can see feels like temperatures right now anywhere from about 5 to 20 degrees. So a very chilly day for us here in Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina. We continue through the day today, and we're watching for the snow to build in later on today. So here's a look at your satellite and radar right now, and you can see that the snow is piling in on places like Memphis. You get into Little Rock, Arkansas. Snow, the purple is sleet, and then you head down south to Louisiana and parts of Texas, and that is freezing rain and regular rain. So very cold temperatures ongoing there, but that's a part of this winter storm that is spanning across several states. You head our direction, and you can see some of the snow starting to build back into portions of western Virginia and western North Carolina, but we are dry here in Hampton Roads. Winter storm alerts span from the south all the way to the northeast, and here in Hampton Roads we are underneath a winter storm warning in the pink and winter weather advisories in the purple. Overall, I am forecasting maybe just about 1 to 3 inches of snowfall area wide. Otherwise, we are talking mainly sleet, freezing rain, and regular rain. So staying dry through the day today, maybe a few offshore little flurries, but if that does impact any place, it would mainly be the Outer Banks. That's about it. We continue through the day today, and later on tonight, temperatures start to fall to the teens and the upper 20s. We're talking widespread snowfall across the area. And then the purple, that's your sleet. Sleet starts to pick up in northeastern North Carolina later on tonight, and then we continue through the day tomorrow, and it's a mix of snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain. And then continuing through the day, it just will be a mess as temperatures rise to the mid-40s. So overall, a very mixed bag of winter precipitation, but it's going to be a very chilly week next week with highs at best in the mid-30s. I'm going to continue streaming on 13 News Now Plus, so join me there. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson. Welcome back to 13 News Now Plus. I'm tracking cold weather across the area. That's the start of this wintry weekend. Now, cold weather alerts still in place for us here in Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina. We have the blue, that's a cold weather advisory. Wind chills this morning were about -3 degrees around the eastern shore. We've improved some, but it is a blustery cold day outside. So if you don't have to travel outside, I would highly recommend for you to just stay inside, stay indoors, because it is freezing. I'm not even wearing enough layers with my heavy coat on for it to kind of break up the fact that it's cold outside. So we will have wind chills today up to the teens, and I'm gonna go ahead and look at the weather service and see when this ends for us. Cold weather advisory is going to run until noon today, so it's all morning long. So we'll continue to show you this throughout the next about 50 minutes. Once this drops, it's really not going to be much warmer during the afternoon. Feels like temperatures in the teens and lower 20s, so it's going to be a pretty cold day across the area. Now, as we continue through the day today, we'll see some of those impacts of the snow here. If we could take this graphic full real quick as I go ahead and show the area of the wind chills here in Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina. You can see that temperatures are feeling more like the single digits into the teens at the moment. Right now, feeling more like 7 degrees here in Norfolk, 12 degrees for the feels like temperature in Currituck, 20 degrees for the feels like temperature there in Gloucester. So a bit warmer, if you can say that here. But I am going to go ahead and show you some of the other temperatures while I step away just for a moment here. And temperatures throughout the day today will just be very cold in Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina as we continue to go throughout the day. Temperatures will again improve just slightly, but I am watching for this cold weather to stick around Hampton Roads for quite some time, as next week I am watching for some temperatures during the afternoon, highs at best in the lower 30s. And Monday will also be yet another cold day for us as temperatures continue to settle in during the day with cold winds during the day as well. So temperatures will fall after the morning, and during the morning on Monday, I am watching for some rain. So right now, again, very cold, feels like temperatures, cold weather advisory in effect for us today. And we continue with this cold weather through the night, but it's tomorrow where I am watching where I am watching for some of that warmer weather, quote unquote warmer weather, coming through with temperatures in the mid 40s. So here's a look right now at our satellite and radar, and you can see where the winter storm is brewing now. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what's happening right now in Memphis. Tracking some of that widespread snow there, starting to mix over into sleet at the moment on the south side of Memphis. You go down I-55 through Mississippi, and there's areas of freezing rain in the pink and areas of rain in the green. That's tracking through Jackson, Mississippi as well. Through Shreveport and up in north of Alexandria, Louisiana. Freezing rain, sleet on the south side of Little Rock after they got widespread snow this morning. In Oklahoma, your next round of snow is just about to start. You can see it revamping there through Lubbock and Amarillo, Texas, going into Oklahoma City. Even portions of New Mexico getting some snow this morning. So widespread snow here. Now, I do want to go ahead and look at our storm reports. And you can see there's many storm reports at the moment. Excuse me. And these snow reports and storm reports show what's going on. So let's go ahead and click on a few of these. And I'm going to make sure that I do it like this. Here we go. So with this snow report, this is coming out of Oklahoma from Tahlequah, and it shows about 1 inch of snowfall there. You get closer to northeastern Oklahoma, 3 inches. As you get into Tulsa, Oklahoma, 2 inches. We'll go to Fayetteville, Arkansas, where they have almost 3.5 inches of snowfall so far. But I want to show you some of these icons in East Texas. where we're seeing some, this is from Shelby County, and this is in Texas. A picture was posted on social media of about a quarter inch of ice accretion on multiple trees. So already seeing some of that freezing rain come through there. You head north of Lumpkin, and this is in Mount Enterprise. 4/10 of an inch of freezing rain reported in Mount Pleasant, still precipitating as of its observation time, which was around 10 a.m. here Eastern time, or excuse me, 10 a.m. Central time, around 11 a.m. Eastern time. So, I mean, 4/10 of an inch is a lot of ice there already going on. So that's what's happening there. Let's go ahead and zoom over here to Hampton Roads, where you can see that it's just cloudy, but I want to zoom it over this direction near Lynchburg, down into South Boston, Louisville, North Carolina, down to Salisbury, and you can see the snow is beginning there, but that's kind of just the beginning little flurries before the big stuff rolls in, where Nashville is seeing widespread snow, Paducah, Kentucky seeing widespread snow at the moment. So just be mindful that our snow will only happen until well after sunset. So here's a look at those winter storm warnings, and it makes sense why it's so widespread. We saw the snow over near Albuquerque into the New Mexico-Texas border. We've already seen freezing rain through Texas. I do want to point out this area in purple, the dark purple. This is an ice warning, an ice storm warning, meaning that freezing rain will be the main thing we're watching with that system as it comes through. That ice storm warning also in effect for portions of North Georgia, western South Carolina, and western North Carolina, and also portions of Tennessee, as freezing rain will be the main thing they're watching for in those areas. Elsewhere, in the pink, these are all winter storm warnings spanning all the way back to New Mexico, through Texas, up into Missouri, Ohio, River Valley, and then up into the Northeast. Blue, winter storm watches that will eventually become warnings. And then the purple, this light purple, that's your winter weather advisory, where we could have some areas of some sleet that may come through, and that actually starts to push into northeastern North Carolina. So right now through Elizabeth City, Eatonton, through the Outer Banks, we do have a winter weather advisory in place. In the pink, we have a winter storm warning. And again, that is going to be for areas around Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina that do get some of that snow later on today. So walking you through the rest of your day, I'm going to give you a moment to pause on this as I walk you through briefly, and then give you a little time to kind of fill out the map for a second. We'll show you that through the rest of your day today, it will be mainly dry. Just a few isolated flurries offshore for the area. We get into around 3 p.m. temperatures at best in the upper 20s, and then the snowfall starts to come in now. So Patrick, let's take this wide so people can look at this. Thank you. As temperatures start to plummet overnight. So here's a look at what I just gave you a moment to pause at. This is the Futurecast graph, and you can see that most of the area in the Virginia side of things, that's going to be your snowfall. Then you get into the purple, the kind of lavender color, and that is your sleet in the area. Below that in Kill Devil Hills, that green, that is going to be your rain. So we continue through parts of the area later on into the night, so early Sunday morning, and we get a mixed bag of everything. Darker blue is going to be your wet snowfall. The purple, that's sleet. Pink is what we don't want to see, and that is freezing rain. This will create icy conditions. Now, I'll show you the difference between freezing rain and sleet in just a moment, but think about freezing rain like a glaze on a donut. You see it, it's just like covering the donut. Then you get into sleet where it's more pellets. So think about sprinkles on a donut. So you rather have the sprinkles because at least it's not sticking to the ground. That ice, that freezing rain is going to create a glaze over the roads, and that could lead to pretty dangerous travel for places around southern Virginia. This is around 6 a.m. on Sunday. We continue through the morning into the early afternoon. And you can see where that center of low pressure is, right offshore. This is going to pump in some warmer air. So not only will we have warmer air in the mid levels of the atmosphere, but we'll also have warmer air as you head down into the surface. So temperatures for your Sunday afternoon will actually climb into the middle to upper 40s. So it'll be a much more mild day than compared to today. Now, we still have the potential for some freezing rain inland right about here. And that's going to be for Richmond, Wakefield, and Emporia, which makes sense. I'll show you the ice accumulations that I'm expecting in those areas. But for majority of our area, we are talking very little ice, but a lot of rain after we get some snow overnight. Now, by Sunday around 4 to 5 p.m., this becomes spotty areas of freezing rain and spotty showers before all this moisture resurges late on Sunday around 9 to 10 p.m. We're talking widespread rain, sleet, and freezing rain developing once again. And then the rain pushes out by early Monday morning. Now the problem is that the rest of our week, so Monday through Friday, is going to be seriously really cold. Temperatures will struggle to get out of the middle to upper 30s. So a very, very cold day for us. Snowfall outlook in terms of this weekend. I know some of us are disappointed. I may be some of us, but I'm disappointed that we couldn't get those higher totals, and because the system just moved too far north. I am watching for snowfall totals up to about 1 inch in the light blue, and I'll point that out here. So light blue from Rocky Mount through Ahoskie and Elizabeth City. Then dark blue, Franklin through Norfolk. That is going to be up to 2 inches of snowfall. And then around the pink areas through Williamsburg, Gloucester, up through Melfa, that's about 3 to 5 inches. And then Richmond and North, that's where they get the 5 to 8 plus. Some places around Pennsylvania, Jersey, expecting potentially 7 to 12 inches of snowfall. Now, the problem is, the reason why we won't get that abundant snowfall like they will in northern Virginia is because we do have that warm air infiltrating the system, and that will change us from snow to sleet to ice to rain. So we're going to start off as snow, make it over to sleet pretty quickly in northeastern North Carolina, then freezing rain, then just regular rain. In Hampton Roads, it will take a little bit longer than northeastern North Carolina. That's why we'll have up to 2 inches of snowfall, sleet to ice to rain. This rain will melt away a lot of that snow, so you really won't see it stick that much, but it could create very slick conditions, so be careful about that. Then we can see 3 to 5 inches of snowfall from the peak area. That will be snow to sleet to ice. Some of these areas around northeastern North Carolina, obviously, the eastern shore will transition over into a rain as well. Then in these areas near Richmond, snow to sleet to ice, we're going to see some of that being freezing rain, a lot of the portion of this event, which could make travel very dangerous. So let's go ahead and give you a look at the ice I keep talking about and the ice potential. Now this is from the European model, and it's going to show you really where that ice is concentrated. That's going to be in North Carolina and Virginia, mainly central and western portions of both states. But you can see Virginia Beach, portions of northeastern North Carolina, barely on the edge of that ice barrier. So not expecting any accumulation too much when it comes to ice in Virginia Beach and down in northeastern North Carolina. But you head through Charlottesville and then down into Lynchburg, Danville, Winston-Salem, Hickory, and Charlotte. And all of these areas are expecting ice. That's why we do have ice storm warnings in effect for portions of South and North Carolina. So be very careful about that. But I want to show you the difference between rain, snow, and ice when it comes to the actual atmospheric column and the temperatures that you need to see all four types of winter precip. So for cold air, you need cold air for most of these things. And a lot of times, a lot of the precipitation types we see start off as cold air and cold ice crystals or snow, because it is so far up in the atmosphere. Excuse me. Then when it comes to rain, a majority of the atmosphere is above freezing. And so that warm air allows for those ice crystals, that snow, to melt down and hit the ground. That's why tomorrow, with the warm air in the middle of the atmosphere and then warm air at the surface, and with temperatures in the 40s, we're going to see mainly rain. Freezing rain is when you have those ice crystals or snow. It melts during a huge warm column, but right above the surface, you have really cold air. That cold air causes these now raindrops to either quickly refreeze or to freeze on contact with these very cold objects. So think about your car. A lot of times we see freezing rain accumulate on cars because the cars get so cold that metal is easy to really, hold in that cold air. So when the freezing rain falls, it freezes on contact with a windshield. That is the most dangerous type of winter precipitation. Then you go into sleet, and sleet has a cold air layer at the top, a shallower warm layer compared to freezing rain, and then a larger area of cold air above the surface, and that allows the snow to melt, then refreeze, but have enough time to refreeze into ice pellets. And that's how you get sleet. Then you move over into snow. And that snow is going to have temperatures that are near or below freezing through the entire atmospheric column. Because we don't have that this time after we get past around 2 to 3 a.m. tomorrow, that's why everything will change over into sleet and freezing rain. So pretty much a big mess for us. Now, let's talk about the weather impacts when it comes to winter storm impacts here across Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina. We are talking snowfall in the area, sleet, freezing rain, power outages are possible, and there will possibly be travel disruption. So with snowfall, we are talking a medium chance. This is not going to be something that is going to be reflective of what happened last year here in Hampton Roads in February, where we had 12 inches, 13 inches of snow. We're talking 1 to 3, mainly area-wide. Peninsulas and Northwest, you have a higher chance of seeing some 3 to 4 plus inch snowfalls. Ice and sleet will be mainly concentrated inland. So this is going to be more of a Richmond threat than a Hampton Roads, northeastern North Carolina threat. But we are talking the potential for any ice accretion that does happen to lead to some sporadic power outages. And of course, we'll keep you updated on the power outage map as we progress through the night tonight and early tomorrow morning as we start daybreak at 6 a.m. And then travel disruptions across the area are going to be low to medium. I can see some of the airlines starting to delay or cancel flights because of this winter storm, not only because it will impact us here in Hampton Roads, but because I am watching for this to trickle downstream from the impacts we're already seeing in Dallas, Oklahoma City, also Memphis, seeing some snow right now. And because some of our destinations in Hampton Roads go to local airports across the country like JFK that will also see some snow, we can see that as well. So I'm going to let you take this graphic full real quick and get a little chance to look at this before I come back for a little bit of a wrap up. So let's talk about what the European and the GFS models are saying in terms of this snowfall across the area. Here's a look at the GFS. That is going to be the American model. And the American model is showing these very light accumulations when it comes to snowfall across the area. And that's what we're expecting. We're not expecting this to be one of the most major winter storms we've ever seen. For the south side, and portions of northeastern North Carolina, we could see maybe a dusting of snow. You get closer to the peninsula and the western south side, and that's where I am seeing some areas that may pick up over an inch of snow. Now for Norfolk, this would be our first day of this season where we would see an inch of snow in one day. So something to keep in mind when this happens. Now, could the snow bring like 7/10 of an inch one for today and then 6/10 of an inch early tomorrow morning? Sure, and that would actually divvy up that 1 inch in a day. So we'll see what happens with that. But as you get closer to the peninsulas, we're talking 2 to 3 inches. But Richmond and North, I mean, they're going to get the brunt of this winter storm, potentially 6 to 10 inches in some places. The European model showing that we'll have pretty much the same deal. Maybe a dusting around northeastern North Carolina. You head towards the south side, a dusting up to about 2 inches. The peninsulas around 2 to 4. And then Richmond and North, you're talking the potential of 6 to 8 inches bare minimum. So unfortunately, if you want a bigger snow day, you would have to be in Richmond. But we are watching, again, for at least less impacts when it comes to ice. And I'll show you again with this ice potential map from the European model where most of this ice is going to go. And it'll mainly be for the majority of the Commonwealth, the majority of northeastern North Carolina. Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina, we are outside of this realm for ice. You get anywhere else and they are right in the bullseye for that ice accretion. And of course, we've already, like I showed you earlier, we've already seen some areas developing some ice here. In portions, I say here, but here in the United States, in portions of Texas. Here's one last look before we go on air, and we'll continue to stream through the on-air portion, but I want to show those who may, have to go and continue their day what we're seeing in terms of this winter storm and where it is. Satellite and radar for us is showing that we have the snowfall through Tennessee, down through Arkansas, and then it changes over to the purple, which is sleet. So sleet ongoing for Arkansas and portions of Texas and Louisiana. And then freezing rain is the biggest concern for northern Louisiana through Mississippi and the deep south, including Alabama and Georgia. We are seeing some flurries through North Carolina and Virginia, but that is just the beginning of what will be a mess for us late tonight and early tomorrow morning. Overall, though, remaining fairly dry today, and satellite and radar for us is really sweeping quiet. We do have our cold weather alerts in place for today. Today, we have a cold weather advisory in effect until noon, so about 40 minutes left, or less, 30 minutes or so left on this cold weather advisory. Wind chills up to about 15 degrees this morning. And then, of course, we have our winter storm warning that's in effect for the area until we get to Monday. And this winter storm warning spans all the way from Texas and New Mexico up through Kansas and the Mid-South, and then into the Northeast, where all those areas shaded in pink are going to be your winter storm warning, with a dark purple being an ice storm warning. So this is an expansive winter storm where we will probably get some of the least impactful weather from this winter storm, but still getting about up to 1 to 3 inches for most areas, and then the potential for some of that ice. But again, remember that it takes a lot for that snow and ice to melt sometimes, because it has a high reflectivity value. We call that albedo. So some of these areas that are getting a lot of snow, it may take a while, especially as we have temperatures hovering just above freezing for the majority of next week. Our weather impact alert alert, is in effect for today, tomorrow, and early Monday. And then next week will be brutally cold with highs at best in the lower to middle 30s. We're about to join everyone on air, so I'll see you on air in just a moment. Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson. Weather impact alerts from now and through Monday morning. I am watching for this potential for winter weather to come through now today into early tomorrow morning, transitioning over into a very cold rain for your Sunday. We do have cold weather advisory still in place through noon. It is frigid outside. Temperatures right now feeling more like the teens and single digits. Feels like temperature in Norfolk at the moment 7 degrees, feeling more like 5 degrees as you head into Walbs Island. Feels like temperature out in Smithfield 14 degrees. So definitely bundle up if you plan on heading outdoors. I will say, if you haven't gotten to weatherize your car, or you still need some stuff when it comes to extra blankets or maybe a flashlight just in case, you'll have the opportunity to go out to the stores today, just because we will be dry for the majority of your Saturday. Satellite radar shows the mess that's happening out into portions of the central U.S. We're seeing snow in the dark blue and white. Purple is going to be your sleet. Pink is freezing rain, and green is regular rain. And we're seeing all 4 types of winter precipitation through the central and southern U.S. Here, a few isolated flurries out into western Virginia and western North Carolina. They have not made it our way yet, but we are watching for snow later on today. Now, there are winter storm alerts all the way from the deep south in Texas through the northeast as this storm impacts hundreds of millions of people. Here in Hampton Roads, we are watching for this winter storm alert, both a winter weather advisory in the purple and a winter storm warning in the pink, to last until Monday morning, as we are tracking snow becoming sleet, then becoming freezing rain, then becoming regular rain. This morning, temperatures are starting off in the 20s. It feels more like the single digits in the teens. Lots of cloud cover starts to build in throughout the day, so we're overcast by the time we get into the afternoon. Highs today at best in the upper 20s and lower 30s. Snow for us starts after 8 p.m., so after sunset, and we're talking widespread snow around 11 p.m. to midnight tonight for Virginia. If you live in northeastern North Carolina, this is going to be more of a snow-sleet mix. Some places around the Outer Banks may only get a sleet-rain mix out of this system. But quickly overnight, this snow begins to become, or it starts to become, that sleet. Sleet to freezing rain in the pink, and then rain in the green. Now, again, sleet is going to be in that purple, freezing rain in the pink. Freezing rain is what we don't want to have, and for us, we'll kind of be right at the edge here in coastal Virginia and coastal North Carolina of seeing that freezing rain accumulation. That's okay for us. We are thinking about our friends inland who see that glaze of ice start to develop around the area early tomorrow morning into the day tomorrow. And the reason why we won't really see much snow after tonight is because temperatures will climb into the mid-40s. So it will be a very rainy, but at least more mild day than we would see with a winter storm typically. Then we get into the Futurecast, and you'll see that it becomes freezing rain and rain once again late Sunday before tapering off Monday morning. Here's a look at your 5 to 7 day forecast, and it shows this winter weather will impact us from tonight through Monday morning. But even next week, temperatures will be frigid with highs at best in the lower to mid 30s. More details on this winter weather coming up in about 30 minutes.